Our next speaker will be Craig Holliday. And Craig is a satsang teacher, a spiritual activist, and a licensed professional counselor. He teaches others to live from the heart, fusing Western psychology and Eastern spiritual wisdom. Craig is a veteran to the Asheville VeganFest stage, and his words bring clarity and inspiration. Please welcome Craig Holliday.
Well, thank you for inviting me back again this year. I was in the elevator this morning, and I reached for my eyeglasses to clean them. And I noticed that the lady right next to me, she was also cleaning her glasses. I think that she started to clean her glasses first. And for a moment I thought, whose thought was this? Was it her thought, or was it my thought? And very much like what Ren was saying, the way things spread in this world is through modeling, through our vibrational frequency, through how we act and share in this world. So for me, veganism was simply a movement of love. It wasn't something that I chose or thought much about. It was something that just simply arose in my heart and continues to arise in my heart. And I think what Rin was speaking about so much was, are we connected? What aspect of ourself are we connected to? Are we connected to this deep presence of wisdom? This deep stillness and love in our heart? Or are we connected with some, outward philosophy or movement of conditioning? And so an ongoing question for us, just throughout our day and throughout our lives is, from what place are we living from? God gave each of us these beautiful hearts. As I woke up this morning and I started to walk over here, I stopped at that big town park. And I sat. There's nobody there. I just sat out in the center of it and experienced such a spaciousness and a unity, feeling a deep connection with the birds and the trees and the wind. And of course there was traffic driving by and all kinds of things happening. But we have this invitation every moment to connect with this beauty within us. And this beauty will show us how to move in the world if we allow it. But it requires that we're silent inside, that we take the time to unhook from the busyness of our minds and also the conditioning that we received. I've spent the last 20 years living in southwest Colorado, and Colorado it's a very interesting state. It's especially where I live, it's almost like where, say, Asheville would meet Texas. So there's incredible progressive movements there. But then there's also very traditional, conservative ranching communities. And at one point, I found myself in this very bizarre position. I had my young daughter, Amaya. She wanted to be a part of the 4-H club. And I remember when I was a child, my mother took my older brother to 4-H, and he learned how to, train, our golden retriever. And so I said, yeah, sure, Amaya, we can do the 4-H club. And she went to some meetings about, taking care of bunny rabbits or something. And I thought, oh, that's just wonderful. And then, one day we found ourselves at a It was like a rodeo arena. And some of her girlfriends were going to do it was like some sort of competition where they're on a horse, and there was a goat out in the arena, and it was quite wild. I was like, what am I watching here? And these little girls on horses would charge a goat, jump off it real quickly like a cowgirl, and get on the ground and take a rope and hog tie the goat's legs, and they were timed. It was like a contest. And in that moment, my heart just broke. I thought, what's going on here? And there's people cheering, and they just thought this was a normal thing to do. You see this little goat out in the center there, terrified. He's like, what the hell is this? This girl on this horse charging at me, and why are they, you pick the goat up and you throw it on the ground and you wrangle it and tie it up, and then I think someone blows a whistle or something, but I think Maya looked at me and I looked at her, and it was hard for me to hold back the tears. But when your heart is open, you can be awake to this greater consciousness. You can make conscious decisions. You can choose to leave a situation like that and say, maybe there's a different way of living in the world. It's this kind of shift that Ren was speaking about, of being connected with your heart, letting your heart guide you. Even if it means, leaving a great career, even if it means leaving an old community that sees that that's okay to do. And there's normally this journey, and I think a lot of vegans struggle with this, is it feels as if you live on the outside of the world because you're making such it seems like a radical decision. It can seem even fanatical to say, I don't eat meat, and I don't eat this or that, and I can't wear this thing or that thing, and you can feel quite alone and isolated in the world. But if you make this decision and you're connected from your heart, and you're opening and trusting, and you connect from a place of strength and courage, and connect into a greater strength, a greater courage, and ask for support, life will meet you. And life will bring you new friends in a new community. And sometimes it requires that you plant the seeds first. And so one of the beautiful things that we do at our house, and I think is one of the most eco-friendly or vegan-friendly things we can all do, is to plant a garden. To plant the little seeds and to talk to them and water them every morning. And that can become a spiritual practice. I've spent 20 years of my life meditating and spending so much time in silence. For a while, my teenage daughter used to tell me I was addicted to it, because I loved sitting in silence so much. But now one of my favorite things to do is to get up and just walk outside and walk into the greenhouse and water the little plants and watch them grow each day, to feel that sense of connection and unity with them. And there's this wonderful vibration that's there in a garden or in a greenhouse. It just makes your heart open. You feel so connected with all of life. You feel this purity as if you're in, a temple. It's quite profound. It's quite healing for the spirit. It's probably the opposite experience of, say, watching, some of the footage that you see, from, the PETA website where there's just so much. You see the violence of a slaughterhouse and the brutality there. It just makes you want to scream and run in the opposite direction. You feel the pain and the suffering in the animals. You can even feel the pain and the suffering in the workers who are there. You can imagine how much pain you must have in your heart to work in a slaughterhouse and to be unfazed by it. And your heart has to be closed or deeply conditioned to think that that's normal. And see, this movement of veganism, it's a movement of compassion. It's a movement of consciousness. So the great invitation is can we put our words, our speech, our actions, into planting gardens in the world, planting the seeds of compassion. Of course, it's quite necessary to protest and raise the consciousness of the planet and to expose what's going on, because I think if most people knew what was going on, in the factory farming industry and the way we treat animals, I think most people would be horrified. So it's important to do all those activities, but it's also important to plant gardens, to connect with your heart, and let that truth guide you. Let that movement of love and compassion guide you in the world. Because if we're not connected with our heart, we just let the conditioning of the planet, the previous generations, the unchecked consciousness lead us forward. But now is the time of incredible change in the world. And the change deepens and solidifies. It becomes permanent if we're deeply connected. But if we're just connected with our emotional mind or our thinking mind, then the change, it just goes quickly. We just move on to the next idea. It just becomes one movement after the next that kind of fizzles out and doesn't go anywhere. And I'm sure we all have friends who, they became a vegetarian for a couple weeks or a couple days, or they tried veganism for a day. Why do you think that's funny? I mean, it was a good try, a good try. But when we're truly connected with our heart, things deepen, they intensify. It becomes who and what we are in the world. And to be honest, our planet at this time is begging us to connect in this deep way. To drop into the silence of our heart and to listen to its truth. Listen to its movement of compassion and peace. And to allow this to lead us forward. And like Ren was saying, it's not just about what we eat and not wearing leather. Veganism is synonymous with compassion. Are we being compassionate in every aspect of our life? Every aspect. Every dollar we spend is a vote in the world. Every word we speak, every action we do, it spreads something in this world. And just like the lady who I was on the elevator with, She moved me with her thoughts to clean my glasses. How powerful is that? Can we model love in the world? Can we model deep, heartfelt connection and compassion in the world? Can we share joy? Can we share our healthy diet, our healthy food? It's not just healthy for us, it's healthy for everyone and everything. It's not just veganism. It's consciousness. It's spreading throughout the planet. It's a huge invitation. And so every moment we have this choice. What are we choosing? What are we doing? How are we acting? And this isn't something for our internal vegan judgmental critic to take over, within the space of our neurotic minds. It's a gentle question for our hearts. Can we let go of that critical nature? Can we let go of the inner vegan policeman or policewoman and just ask our heart, what is true? What is good? What is wise? What is compassionate? In this moment, and live from that gentle, loving place, and have the courage for that to lead us forward in our lives. It's only through that and listening to that voice and that truth will our world change. It's only through listening to that voice and connecting will we truly be happy, truly at peace, and truly live in a sustainable, compassionate, and open-hearted way. So thank you again for having me back this year.